Hey, all, welcome to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, fringe candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Oona O'Leary.
And man, it is, I can already tell my voice sounds a little weird. This is the first day in like a week I've been able to talk normal.
Yeah, you've been sick for a while.
Yeah, that flu's no joke, man. It is, it'll punch you in the throat and just leave the fist there for a while. It's not great.
Did you get your flu shot?
I did. It was really bad with the flu shot.
Ooh, that makes me nervous because, yeah, I got that COVID booster flu shot double whammy. Yeah. But then everyone I know has gotten the flu since then.
Right. Yeah, I think they might have botched the flu shot this year, which is a real bummer. But anyway,
it's like when you bet on a horse and you bet on the wrong horse.
Yeah,
that's science, right?
Yeah, that's science for me at least. So yeah, so apologize if my voice gets a little froggy off and on. You know, I know there are a lot of audio purists in the podcast world, so hopefully that you'll be able to get through this episode. But yeah, this episode we're doing things a little different. So, you know, we usually talk about a person or a party, but today we are focusing entirely on one lawsuit in theory. And specifically, the case is the People's Party of Florida versus the Florida Department of State 2022. And so, to my knowledge, because I don't know your entire life, Oona, I don't believe either of us have passed the bar.
No. I grew up surrounded by a lot of lawyers. And then after college, I would say most of my friend network also became lawyers. And I was very briefly a paralegal. So I have a lot of love for the field.
I believe I might have mentioned it before. I did pass the bar at Buckeye Boys State. So I was assistant county district attorney. It was really great until the last day when the cops planted weed on me and I got arrested with no trial. That was fun.
Stop it. No.
Yeah, they threw me in jail for 10 minutes.
No. I love realizing how closely hewn to real life your Boys State adventures really are.
In retrospect, yes. It was very disturbing and awful, and those poor veterans didn't deserve having to take care of a bunch of juniors in high school. So I felt it was probably necessary that if we're going to talk about a legal case, I'm going to say dumb shit. I'm going to get stuff wrong. I'm going to, make some dumb statements like I got to go drop off some depositions, things like that.
Yeah. Habeas corpus.
Yeah, you got to watch out for that corpus, man. It's going to get you. So I wanted to bring on an actual attorney. So joining us today on the podcast is longtime friend and attorney, Christine Beam. So welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So, Christine, how familiar are you with or what's your experience with third parties in the world?
I think mostly just general frustration at, I guess, how they've been handled. I don't have an ideological issue with third parties. I think it's fine to vote for whoever your beautiful sweetheart desires that you vote for. If there's somebody very close to your personal beliefs, I want you to be able to vote for them. But our system doesn't really enable them in any realistic way. So a lot of times it just feels like you are throwing away some power that you have, and that's a real bummer for me. But so I guess in theory, love them, think they're great. In practice, would break my knuckle before I let it down.
Yeah, I definitely get that. It's very much like buying a car and then deciding, oh, this will run on ethanol, right? And then just like putting it full of corn gas and then the whole thing explodes. It's like, no, it's not. It's already built to use just gas. Yeah. Is it perfect? No. Are we going to fix it? No.
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
So I think some listeners might remember the plaintiffs, or at least have a somewhat recollection of the plaintiffs in this case. So the People's Party of Florida are a state affiliate of the National Movement for a People's Party. And if you want to go into the full info on these people before this episode, I'd highly recommend going back and checking out the episode, The Arrival and Fall of the Movement of the People's Party. But for a quick refresher, I think it's good to go over at least a little bit of this. So Christine, you're aware of what's going on, and we could just be on the same page for this.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, you did enough research for this. You didn't have to go into 5 years of research on these chuckle fucks.
Yeah, but still, I think at least in my practice of law, I enjoy knowing the personal aspects behind the legal issue because it helps put it in a lot of perspective. And even if that perspective is, oh, this group of individuals is ineffectual at best, then, at least it helps me figure out why they made the choices they made.
So the Movement for a People's Party originally started in 2017 as an organization called Draft Bernie for a People's Party. It was begun by a dude named Nick Branya, a young staffer who worked on the Bernie Sanders 2016 presidential campaign. Now, the level to which he worked in the campaign is up for debate. He initially stated and has continued to state that he had a national level importance role, while other people who have looked into it said that after a month, it was found that he was underqualified for the position and was demoted to intern.
We've all written a resume, okay?
So Nick does come from a bit of money. He's in his 20s at this point. He's previously worked on campaigns for Terry McAuliffe, and his dad is an architect, so he comes from money. He lives in the DC metro area. So I think it's one of those things where it's like he had the resume to kind of bullshit it, but then in practice completely flamed out. But he was able to carry this into being like, hey, I'm going to start this movement to draft Bernie Sanders into the campaign, and I have the charisma to do it. The stated goal was to create a third party, draft Bernie Sanders to join, get Bernie Sanders to convert a bunch of people in the Congress and Senate into the party, and then run Bernie for president in 2020 as the third party candidate. And weirdly enough, with most third-party candidates, you're like, oh, I want to be a major third voice in the country. The initial plan for this party was completely different. Nick wanted to completely destroy the Democratic Party and become the new second party.
There it is. There it is.
Which is a little more honest and open than I think you would expect from that. But he very much wanted to model the campaign that off of Abraham Lincoln's run in 1860, where the Republicans came out of nowhere as this radical progressive party and just kind of took over everything.
Unfortunately, the way he has it set up where it's like we draft Bernie and then Bernie already in the Senate changes the minds of others.
Right.
It's a very like alien fetus popping out of the chest strategy.
Yeah.
I feel like through this entire podcast, I'm just going to use the phrase short-sighted like 600 times.
I mean, but what could go wrong, though? I mean, it's just Bernie's doing all the work and you're doing all the planning. So,
and none of the other members of Congress have established party affiliations that allow them to keep being reelected in our insanely corrupt political system as it is. So they'll definitely change because Bernie asks them to. So
exactly. He's just that charismatic.
Agreed.
The thing, though, is that, like we said, 90% of the plan kind of hinges entirely on Bernie joining in. So from September 8th to the 10th in 2017, Nick held a convention in Washington, D.C. It initially kicked off with him and a few other people going to Bernie's senatorial office and delivering 48,000 signatures to Sanders himself, saying that people wanted him to join this third party and run for president. And when I say they handed it to Sanders himself, they handed it to a staffer and they said, okay, we'll give it to him. And then they went away. So during this time, they're also holding this convention where speakers and attendees are showing up. And the convention featured speeches from Dr. Cornel West, Seattle City Councilwoman Kshama Sawant, and comedian turned political podcast host Jimmy Dore. So Nick presented the
drink when you hear Jimmy Dore, listeners.
Yep. It's a drink every time you hear the name Jimmy Dore because you'll need it. Yeah, and this is back when Jimmy Dore was still trying to pretend like he was a progressive leftist and not just some LaRoucheite on the radio. So Nick presented the party platform, which was a one-for-one copy of Bernie's 2016 campaign platform. Everything was set, and they were just waiting for Bernie to show up, which he did not do.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? We left the doors unlocked. We gave him directions to Georgetown University. He knew how to get here.
Wait, I'm sorry. Georgetown allowed this convention?
Yeah, they rented a space on Georgetown.
Georgetown needs money too, probably.
Maybe it was American University. It was one or the other.
Yeah.
So since Bernie did not show up, this meant that Nick had to pivot to plan B. And that was make a new third party where he was the leader. 2019, the Movement for a People's Party premiered online and brought with it a pile of progressive celebrity endorsements. This included director Oliver Stone, journalist Chris Hedges, and anti-war activist Cindy Sheehan. And in 2020, the MPP held their first ever convention. However, due to COVID, the whole thing had to be held online, which meant that people had to miss out on traveling to beautiful Milwaukee.
Oh,
I mean, Milwaukee's a fine town.
I just want to know, like, when did people start leveling up? Like, charismatic leader, celebrity endorsements? Like, when do we start reaching, like, level 3 clarity and then level 4 clarity? And then, like, when do we get to the place where we're all having an orgy in somebody's, like, basement?
Yeah. When does the pink Cadillac show up? When are you dining with Tony Robbins? Absolutely.
Like, what is happening?
Well, the mistake you're making is you're assuming we've reached peak celebrity. More celebrity coming at convention.
Oh my gosh.
At the convention, you also get celebrities such as actor Danny Glover, former governor of Minnesota Jesse Ventura, presidential hopeful Marianne Williamson, and congressional candidate Nina Turner. all show up to give speeches.
You can't tell me that Marianne Williamson wasn't already in a cult and just was like transitioning over.
Yes, she was. Marianne Williamson, I know some people really love her. She is bouncing from cult to cult trying to find a new home. And so it was here that they announced that they would run their very first slate of candidates in 2022 and then run for president in 2024. The convention was viewed by 400,000 people, and enrollment jumped from 56,000 people before the convention to 116,000 by Election Day 2020. They picked up even more celebrity clout during this time, adding on Twitter celebrity Ryan Knight, actress Rose McGowan, and the biggest name they got this entire time, actress Susan Sarandon.
Oh, I think I do remember her talking about this.
Yeah. Susan would end up kind of being an integral part of where the party started going after this. They initially started very much with progressive ideals, very much mimicking Bernie Sanders' campaign. But after a bit, they started to lean more into populism, which meant that the party made Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez their arch nemesis in all ways, shapes, and forms.
Oh, so the party is my dad.
Yes, it is.
Cool. So true.
So yeah, and Susan Sarandon probably made the biggest news with the party when they protested outside of AOC's offices in the Bronx. That was during like a thing Jimmy Dore was doing where they were trying to push a vote on Medicare for all, which it was a really good plan for him to just stoke anger no matter what the results. Because if you get people to vote for it, it's not going to pass. And if they decide they're not going to vote for it and not waste their time, people are going to get mad for them not voting for it. So... perfect for Jimmy Dore. But all things considered, things were going really, really well. You have a ton of celebrity endorsements. You have over 100,000 members. You're shaping up really well for at least making a bit of a splash in 2022. But that is until new members started to notice some rather fucky things. Because what the MPP was really good at doing was recruiting people who were very active in progressive causes beforehand and felt like this was actually a good shot to move things forward. So you have a lot of old pros, if you will. When they started looking at things, they noticed that the party was missing some very key things, like bylaws. Also, there was no organization structure whatsoever. And worst of all, it seemed like the direction on what to do was, if Nick Brania says to do it, that's what we're doing.
Again, with the Kool-Aid. I think there was a Criminal Minds episode about this.
Well, I mean, if you really want your lawyer antenna to go up, the guy in charge of the finances for the party, Nick's father, Rodrigo Brania, is running the finances for the party. And no, he doesn't have any accounting experience.
You know, what's so funny is my partner only does small business law. And so all he does is terms and conditions and bylaws and corporate structures. And so I know just enough to be annoyed about it.
Yeah.
And here I am annoyed.
So seeing all of this, these new members were like, hey, we should probably do something about this. And they put together a petition saying, hey, could you please fix this? And Nick and the national leadership looked at it, took it under consideration, and kicked everyone who signed it out of the party.
Oh.
Yeah. So as a legal mind, how would you respond if you had heard something like that had happened?
I feel like the irony of, and I assume we'll talk about this later, that the Florida's People Party argued that not being allowed to run is a violation of free speech while simultaneously kicking out anybody who disagrees with their agenda is just really tasty to me.
But
And it wasn't even disagreeing. It was like, hey, let's put this into paper and make it something that employees need to sign and that we can refer to, you know, like
Right.
an organization.
I would like a tuppence of bylaw, please.
Like a legally standing organization.
There are 100,000 of us.
Oh, no.
Maybe good idea. Well, and that 100,000 also comes under question because I talked to a number of former members of the party who were kicked out around this time who have allegedly, that the large boost of numbers came from Nick Brania allegedly stealing the email roll call from the Bernie campaign, as well as the emails from Our Revolution when he worked there briefly.
If I'm honest, that's better than what I thought, which was just this guy like making up people's names. Mabel, Ariel Frankenstein,
Yeah, we're dealing
George
with a pro.
Harrison. That's a real person, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you make up enough names, you're going to get some real people.
I'm pretty sure there is probably an Ariel Frankenstein somewhere.
Oh, God, that person's probably awesome. Play like roller derby.
Yeah, exactly.
So that happened. And so the thing, though, is that Nick was very good at being able to kind of stave this off because it was the first time this had happened. So, you kind of get one gimme whenever things like this happen. And he used what would become a tried and true excuse from here on out. They were Democratic infiltrators, just a bunch of liberals showing up to try to ruin the party, had to kick them out. Everything's better now.
The idea that really any Democrats could get it together to infiltrate this organization.
Yeah, they infiltrated in that they tried to write and pass bylaws for this organization.
Yeah, every day that the Democratic caucus can order lunch together is a success. That is...
Yeah.
So, like I said, the party was able to push on after this because now we're yelling at AOC. We're now mad about Medicare for all. Jimmy Dore is working up a froth, so we have that celebrity push going on right now. But 2021 would also be the year that state branches of the party were able to get official ballot status in their states. Missouri would be the first, followed by Florida, and then Virginia. And with those successes, the goal of running people in 2022 would be on track. And of course, Nick won the national chairmanship in a landslide. Asterix.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a lot of people I talked to who ended up leaving the party later were like, Nick was trying to make us write campaign stuff for him for free during this national chairmanship race. And he was like trying to look into the guy running against him to try to do this like mudslinging campaign against the guy.
You gotta know the guy who was running against him like couldn't give two F's about. I mean, you had to have known he wasn't going to win.
Oh, so yeah, the dude stated, "I'm only running because we need someone else to run."
This is a courtesy run. It's a walk.
Right. This can't look too weird. And then, shortly after winning the chairmanship and getting all these official state party recognitions, it happened again. On February 23rd, 2022, Nick unveiled that a group of liberal Democrats had once again tried to take over the party, and another batch of people had just been kicked out. And this included 4 of the 10 acting national committee members.
And Susan Sarandon.
And Susan! I don't know what her fucking deal is. I think we just need to ignore the fact, though, that 3 of the 4 members who had been kicked out were actively running an investigation looking into accusations of sexual harassment committed by Nick against a member of the party, in which he was a boss of.
It's the Ned situation all over again.
Yeah, oh God. Well, I mean, at least with the Try Guys, you had enough to outvote him.
They had procedures in place and employee contracts.
Well, the thing I find funny about this, too, is like you have the 10 members of the National Committee. 2 of the members are Nick and his dad. So not counting them, how do you not notice that half of the National Committee are Democratic infiltrators trying to liberal up your party? Other than the fact you don't want people to know that you're a creep.
If there's one thing I've always said, it's that Democrats are the sneakiest.
It's true. It's so, look, I live near Jan Schakowsky. Like every once in a while, I'll just be walking down the street. She'll just knock coffee out of my hand. Don't even know she's there. She just sneaks behind me, knocks it down, laughs, and disappears in the shadows.
She's hiding in a bush.
If I saw Jan Schakowsky hiding in a bush like that, I would die immediately and no regrets. So about a week before all these people had been kicked out, the investigation was ready to present their findings and called for an emergency meeting of the National Board. And this request was repeatedly ignored until the 2 board members who weren't funneling info to Nick. Oh yeah, one of them was funneling all the info from this investigation straight to Nick during this time. Until they essentially discovered that, everyone running this investigation are Democratic infiltrators and got them kicked out. Nick would later claim that the investigation had actually finished in December with him not having done anything wrong, and stated the accuser, who had not made her name public at the time, had a history of false sexual harassment complaints.
I'm absolutely imagining the character on Parks and Rec, who's John Ralphio, Mona Lisa Saperstein, who's like, I have done nothing wrong ever. And immediately ask for money.
I would love to see Jenny Slate play Nick Branya in anything.
That's better than me. Again, I went back to that Criminal Minds episode where that guy from Beverly Hills 90210 played a cult leader who married like a 15-year-old, and it was okay because for some reason
something religion.
Yeah.
Which guy from 90210?
This guy who was also Archie's dad on Riverdale.
The guy.
Yeah.
Luke Perry.
Luke Perry, thank you. R.I.P.
I'm so mad that all of us immediately recognized that just from Riverdale. I wanted to like that show so much, and that made me so mad.
It grabbed me this is so off topic. It grabbed me in the first season, and then it jumped the shark so fast, it was hard to reel back. But
It's Pretty Little Liars syndrome, where it's like, okay, this is very easy to grasp. It's very accessible. And then all of a sudden, a teenager's running an underground speakeasy, and there's 27 murderers.
Yes.
That's what I felt about Gossip Girl. The first season, I can follow through this. Now there's like murder and espionage, and there's 15, and
yeah, they're still studying for the SATs and hoping to get into Yale.
Yeah, civics.
Podcast. Are you guys secretly Gossip Girl?
Oh man, I have watched all of Gossip Girl. I do want to watch it again, but just knowing who Gossip Girl is the whole time and tracking Dan Humphrey's crimes.
Yeah.
He at least got a baby killed at minimum.
This is inside the show. Okay. Anyway.
What a great, yeah. All right. What do we talk? Politics. We're talking about politics. All right. So Nick is out here, slandering the woman accusing him of sexual harassment. Always a good move. I've heard attorneys recommend it 100 times out of 100.
Yeah, we definitely do. Actually, this is an aside, but when I was taking evidence, which we were talking about
like the class or the physical evidence, what were you taking?
I was taking a class about evidence.
So you weren't just breaking into the police station and just willfully taking evidence for yourself.
Law school, so we know what it's like.
Okay.
No, but we were talking about how, especially in sexual assault crimes, the promiscuity of the woman is always admissible evidence, and it just sucks so bad because hoes can get raped too. So you can keep that in.
Yeah. So about a month after we initially did our episode for the MPP party, the accuser did speak out. And for disclosure, we're at least on, I wouldn't say we're friends. We're definitely Twitter acquaintances. Her name was Zaina Day. She worked very high level with the Movement for a People's Party. She was hired around about the time that Paula Jean Swearingen got hired to the party. She was a Democratic politician from West Virginia who had attempted to beat Joe Manchin in a primary earlier, then eventually won the nomination for the Senate race after that, left on very fiery terms because the West Virginia Democratic Party is useless. So she joined the People's Party with Zaina, and it just sounded like absolute hell. But yeah, a lot of the claims that Nick made against her were slanderous at best, and she would also claim that Nick operated about a couple dozen sock puppet accounts on Twitter with the sole goal of harassing her whenever she spoke out against him. And speaking from personal experience, I believe it 100%. I did get into a fight with one of them, and at one point I wrote, "Go to bed, Nick," and they responded, "Okay, I will." So take it as you will. Yeah, boom roasted.
I was just looking at the People's Party website, and of course, like in their news section, they have a People's Party in the news. And it's really interesting to me because all of Nick's content, he's facing the camera dead on. Mm-hmm. But there's one article where he's in profile.
Yeah.
And it is so strangely shaped that I am not surprised that he does it head on. He's very conscious of it.
Yes, keep it in. Yes. So this ended up causing a huge exodus from the party once again. All those Democratic infiltrators got kicked out. Everyone disgusted by Nick got kicked out. The party Twitter then started to take on a very, Huey Long progressive sort of tone, where the statement of, race isn't important, it's a distraction, and wokeism isn't important, it's a distraction. This is mainly because their social media person ended up quitting, and they replaced them with a jewelry maker from Maine who was extraordinarily racist and homophobic.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah, and her jewelry sucks. It's real bad. And so that caused a lot of people to leave the party. So the bridge from there until today is one of the other super cool alleged things about Nick was told to me by a few former members of the Texas and Washington branches of the MPP, is that he seemed really hell-bent on making sure no one ever ran for office. In Texas, they were working really, really hard to get people on the ballot. They were having trouble becoming an officially recognized party in Texas. It's not the hardest state to get recognized, but it's still difficult. But they were planning on running people potentially as independents and just getting ready for 2022. Allegedly, they sent that news to Nick. He flew down to Texas and fired everyone who was going to try to push people forward as candidates and then replace them with people he knew would not do that.
Nick was like, no, no, no. What I need from you is to pretend you're candidates. But the really important thing is for you each individually to collect 5 candidates below you. And then those candidates themselves are also going to find 5 more candidates.
Once you become a diamond platinum manager, then you will receive enlightenment.
The money flows up.
Guys, I'm telling you, that free trip to Acapulco, I could not have gotten it without my downline.
But you drove that pink Cadillac all the way there.
That's true. I owe so much insurance money. Yeah, and so it's really weird talking to a lot of people who are like, we were ready to run for years. At this point, the party has been around for 5 years, has repeatedly teased that they're running people in 2020, 2022, never does. And for this was a very final straw for a lot of people. The Washington Party ended up forming their own independent party in the state. I believe they're going to start running people in 2024. But yeah, so it is a very weird thing that Nick just did not want anyone running for office, which is what makes it so weird in Florida. Because essentially the same thing happened in Florida is they got state ballot status. They were preparing to run people. Then everyone who was doing that got fired and were replaced with 3 people: Victor Nieto, Caroline Wolf, and the center of today's story, Elise Meisel's. So there isn't a whole ton out there about Elise. I had to dive into newspapers.com pretty deep to try to at least gain something. The national website and the Florida People's Party website do not have a bio on her whatsoever, other than her just being like, I'm excited to do this. So, getting information wasn't great. So I did find out that she went to Edison Community College, where it appears that she was a very decent student. And by the 2000s, she embarked on her main career as a franchisee for mailboxes, etc. And when that company ended up floundering, she shifted to the UPS store and opened a series of branches across mid-Florida. The main reason she would end up making the news is because every Thanksgiving, Christmas season, the local paper needed someone to verify that, yes, holiday mail is in fact busy, and yes, it's busier than ever.
Amazing.
It's a good gig if you can get it.
Remind me never to hide from you.
It's look,
I feel like you would find me.
I know. I'm sitting here thinking, like, if someone had to dig deep into newspapers.com for me, what would they find?
Oh man, I imagine they'd all go back to 1872 and it'd just be like local anarchist destroys farmers market. From here, best I can tell is Elise hits retirement and she just dives heavily into progressive activism. In 2017, she joins the People's Party. In 2018, she takes a somewhat lead role with a group called Pasco Activists, which is named after the county where she lives. They mostly seem to just offer support for various protests that are going on and also push a couple candidates, mainly Bernie Sanders, but a lot of people had good things to say about him, so I really can't slam him that much. She did accidentally reveal, though, during a YouTube video where she was trying to teach people how to log into actionnetwork.org and create a local MPP affiliate, that the Pasco County Activists only has 11 members. So that was fun.
That's all you need, baby.
I know, right? I mean, if you're 11 people who want to get shit done, sure.
Or if you're 11 people who want to burn something to the ground, you could certainly find a way to do that with 11 people.
Was that the Weatherman's motto?
Yeah, we don't need a dozen.
No. If you get a dozen, you got one snitch. And so when 2022 rolls around, not only was Elise now the treasurer and secretary of the Florida branch of the MPP, but she was also the national organizing director for the entire party nationwide. And it's that last detail that I think let her decision to run for office pass Nick's approval. Because the other thing Nick really didn't want is he apparently didn't want anyone to run for office, but he was very vocal about only running for national office. We're only running for Congress, Senate, and president. And that's it. So when Elise entered the race, it wasn't for any of those. It was for county commissioner of Pasco County, which is a little rectangle just north of Tampa Bay.
It's my second time to say short-sighted to only run for federal office.
Yeah. And, I partially get it. Because looking into the race, they're doing the one thing that I really wish third parties would do the most, is she was trying to enter a race where Democrats were not running. The only people there was only a Republican primary, and that was it. So going into the general election in November, it would have been the Republican and her, which is a great way to boost name recognition, great way to boost party recognition. So on paper, it makes a lot of sense. However, I think we need to go into Florida election law before we start to really tear this apart. Now imagine yourself. You're a 70-year-old retiree living in Land O'Lakes, Florida. You're gonna run for county commissioner. So here's the list of shit you gotta do. Step 1, you have to file a DSDE9 form, which just means you have to hire a campaign treasurer for your campaign. And you have to have a designation of campaign depository. So who's your treasurer, where you're putting your money.
Makes
Once you
sense.
finish that, you have to file a DSDE 84 form within 10 days of filing the treasurer form. And this is a statement of candidacy form that simply says, this is my name, this is the party I'm running for, and I have signed it, and I've wasted paper. And then third, you have to file a ton of qualifying papers during a listed qualifying period. So this includes the candidate's oath, which promises that you have been a member of the party in which you are running for 365 days. You have a form that is your full and public disclosure of financial interests, and then you have a choice of whether you're going to pay a qualifying fee or submit petitions to show that you have a large number of people who wish to vote for you. If you want to pay the fee, that is $5,650.80. If you're doing a petition, you need 1% of the registered voters in Pasco County to sign it, or 3,934 signatures. So
Feels doable.
yeah, the thing with the signatures is the petition isn't like here in Chicago where you have a bunch of lines that people could sign. They're all individual, so you have to print off a new one for each signature, and it costs 10 cents for the county to review each petition signature. So in total, at minimum, it's going to cost you $393.40.
Ah,
However, you can also file an undue burden oath that says, I'm broke. Please don't charge me money.
yeah, come on.
Yeah, so there are ways around it. So it's not, I don't know. It's not a 14th Amendment violation, if you will.
I'm just bare. Okay.
What?
Yeah, so there's ways to do this. So yeah, that's all you have to do to run. And you have to do it within certain dates. So the division election starts accepting qualifying documents on May 30th, 2022. The qualifying period to submit all your paperwork is between June 13th and the 17th. And then the primary is held August 23rd. So I'm going to ask you, Oona, do you potentially see an issue that may come up for at least myself in all of this? I know I've been throwing a lot of dates at you.
So many numbers. Would it be the 365-day rule of being a member of that party?
Spot fucking on, yes. So, as we said before, the People's Party of Florida became an official party on September 1st, 2021. And the date that you have to get everything in by is June 17th. Not a year away. That's 9 months. That's 9 months. You're not going to get it.
And the People's Party couldn't backdate their documents? I mean, These people don't give a shit about paperwork.
No. Well, they submitted the documents on July 15th. So even if you're counting that, you're still a month late. And then Florida processed it all on September 1st. But at least makes things a little harder for herself, because the date that they submitted the paperwork, she changed her party affiliation from Democrat to People's Party. However, at the time, the state didn't recognize the People's Party as an official party, so they had to mark her as unaffiliated. So then on September 13th, a few weeks after the party was officially recognized, that's when Elise finally changed her party affiliation from unaffiliated to People's Party. Sure, she's still later than she was even when they became official.
Right, and it doesn't count if she's been people partying it up while she was a registered Democrat.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Oona, what would you do in this situation?
I would not run, because what? Absolutely not. Come on.
No,
now.
this is fucked up. That's fucked up. That's loser talk. That is loser talk.
I would question why I was still living in Florida. When did that decision happen? Am I on bath salts?
So Elise did try to do the practical thing. On May 10th, 2022, she actually wrote the Pasco County Supervisor of Elections to ask, hey, am I eligible to run for election?
That seems fair to be like, hey, so this party hasn't been around that long, and can you throw me a mulligan?
Yeah. They wrote her back the next day and said, not only can you not run as a People's Party candidate, you can't run as any candidate. You have not been a member of any party for 365 days. And if you're going to run as an independent, you have to be unaffiliated for 365 days.
I mean, is anyone surprised in a state that so desperately does not want felons or past felons to vote?
Yeah. Well, so a lot of it appears to be supporting something called a sore loser law, in which, say you lose the Democratic primary. I don't know. Say your name's Byron Brown. You live, I don't know, Buffalo, and you lose the Democratic primary.
Random names.
I know. I'm taking your inspiration, Christine. I'm making up names.
You and Nick.
Yeah. And so the law essentially is there so that you can't just suddenly decide, fuck you, I'm an independent now, and I'm still running and causing all kinds of chaos.
Still run as a write-in candidate. If she had the voting power that Nick says that they have, surely she could have just, collected her constituents and had them all write her in.
Exactly. Well, the funny thing is, she wouldn't have been the only write-in candidate at the time, too, because the general election was going to have to go on with a write-in candidate in November.
Oh, boom.
There was a pathway there. But instead of, taking it as a loss and being like, well, I guess we'll just run in 2024, on June 3rd, Elise Meisel's, Victor Nieto, Carolyn Wolf, and the Florida People's Party sued the state to get her on the ballot.
Yeah.
So I think now's a pretty good time to bring up Christine on this. Christine, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a case is this? Just from the filings that they made.
This case is so good that it made me feel emotionally in favor of the state of Florida. So, it's one of those things where, like, when you become an attorney, people will ask you all the time, how do I sue this person? And the response is like 99.9% of times, you don't sue the person. I don't know, call them on the phone, maybe write a letter. There's no reason for you to be suing the state of Florida. So yeah, I would say it's not the best. It's certainly not the best case I've ever seen.
I might be able to convince you because first I just want to say I wish people knew more about ombudsman. Just hire an ombudsman. It'll save you time. You'll get some free therapy.
I've been thinking about that too, about how really there just need to be more ombudsmen in.
It's not an easy word.
In society, and more people to know what they are, including what is an ombudsman.
So an ombudsman is essentially a oh my god, I'm trying to think of the word, like a negotiator between parties, where if you want to sue someone, you have to talk to this person first, where you sit in a room with the person you want to sue, and this person facilitates conversation between the two parties with the ultimate goal of them coming to a decision without having to go to court.
Oh, yeah.
And the vibe I always got was that it was like more impartial and possibly touchy-feely than an arbiter who is usually assigned from one party and
like or a mediator are actually obligated to, whereas this is two individual parties coming together with the idea that they should maybe not sue each other.
Yeah, the American Bar Association actually has a very good book on ombudsmen as well. But I'm going to sweeten the deal here, Christine. What if on top of this frivolous lawsuit, we throw in a lawyer who's completely unfamiliar with local law?
I'd say you got yourself a deal.
Look, I believe the term is, my Latin's a little rusty. I believe it's pro hac vice. I don't know. That sounds right?
Yeah, habeas corpus. Corpus Christi.
I love these depositions, man. But yeah, so instead of hiring a local Florida attorney, they hire essentially a man I'm referring to as the National Party's legal counsel, a dude named Christopher Kruger. I would like him not to sue me for making that statement, so I'm just going to say that name is in jest. I know that's not your title. You've done enough in regards for me to make that joke.
Now, I will say, in probably the only defense of the Florida People's Party that I will provide in this podcast episode, if it's in federal court, they do have to have somebody who's licensed to practice in federal court. Can't be a Florida attorney, just a Florida man attorney, because they only have access to state courts.
But yeah, I thought that was a wild thing to do, that you're going to bring in the party attorney who mostly focuses on, I just like being petty against this guy. So let's see here.
You can look that up. That typically are Florida individuals who know Florida state law enough to sue in federal court.
Yes.
So they should have chosen that route.
Right. Yeah, because he definitely references a lot of court cases that go to federal courts. You should probably be prepared for this to go to the Supreme Court. But yeah, so Christopher Kruger personally states that his legal focus is on, quote, defense of homeowners in foreclosure and help with predatory lending, bankruptcy, employment rights and employment discrimination, workers' comp and unemployment compensation, and civil rights and constitutional law.
I just want to say, I don't think anybody needs to prepare for this case to go to the Supreme Court.
Damn. It's fucking brutal.
We're going to need some aloe.
Yeah.
It's okay. The decision on the case is like 4 pages long. So, it's not going up any further.
Yeah. So, Christine, from what you can tell, would you feel comfortable stating what the basis of the argument is for the MPP? Because I tried really hard. It seems like all the cases they were referencing was like a scatter. They loaded all these First and 14th Amendment cases into a shotgun, filtered out everything that didn't have to do with third parties, and then just let her rip to see what the fuck would happen.
Yeah, and from the actual decision, none of those arguments came into play. If I had just read the decision and not read any of the documents that the parties had filed, I would have no clue that there was a First and 14th Amendment argument. essentially, they wanted an injunction, right? They wanted the district court to tell Florida, meaning a federal court, to tell a state legislature that they needed to remove this 365-day rule for Miss Elise. And otherwise, she would be irreparably harmed by the fact that she couldn't run for, what was it, school board or
County commissioner.
yeah. Tiny county in Florida. And again, I'm going to bring up short-sighted number 3, baby. Going to get there.
So with the arguments of it being a First and 14th Amendment violation on there, it's so first it'd be a violation of her freedom of speech that she could not run. And to my understanding, the 14th is it's a violation of fair treatment or something like that.
Well, I'm not a constitutional scholar.
Oh, fair enough. I've only been listening. I've been listening to like 3 weeks of Supreme Court podcasts, so that's about as far as I got. But yeah, it strikes me, it's like, it's not due process. It's like fair treatment under the law, where it's like everyone has to have the same stipulations to be able to run for office.
It's essentially like federal due process.
Yeah.
You can't, but I guess put forth to the states.
Yeah. It also blew my mind because you still have to be a member of the Republicans and the Democrats for 365 days to run for office.
Correct, which is like primarily where her argument fails, right? Or their argument fails, I should say. It's unfortunate that she's kind of caught up as the primary plaintiff. But I just find it so funny because you were mentioning the petitions earlier. Mm-hmm. I just thought it was really, the judge in this case decided to be just so sweet, just candy. They just wrote, plaintiffs have not shown any voter support outside of the individual plaintiffs, and 2 of the individual plaintiffs are not even eligible to vote in Pasco County.
Yep.
I don't know her gif.
Exactly. Yeah. So this case essentially came down to an injunctive relief and whether or not they made a case for injunctive relief, meaning whether or not a federal court could tell a state court that she had to have relief before the case was heard on its merits. And there's a whole test that you have to go through. There's a bunch of elements to meet, and she didn't meet them, wouldn't you know?
Yeah. What is that test? And like the deals with that.
Okay. So if you're going to get a preliminary injunction, which again is relief granted before a case is heard on the merits, you have to establish that there's a substantial likelihood. I'm using air quotes because literally every word of a test is important, and you have to meet every single word of the stupid test. There has to be a substantial likelihood of success on the merits. Number 2, an irreparable injury is going to be suffered if you're not granted relief immediately. Number 3, that injury that you, the plaintiff, will suffer outweighs the injury that the other party will suffer if you are granted relief. And 4, that relief is also in the interest of public justice. So I'm sorry, Elise, you are not
dunk. I mean, that's an easy case for Kruger right there.
I couldn't believe that they had the balls to ask for it because, first off, what was your harm that you had to wait till 2024? How is you having to wait till 2024 more substantial than the state of Florida eliminating one of their requirements to run for public office? And how is it serving the public interest? Again, how are you making me like Florida in this? I'm so frustrated.
It's truly wild. I was looking into this for the 2022 race to see just what was the political feelings of Pasco County. 65% Republican.
Yeah.
In no world would she have won. And it's like, I think you can make the argument. It's like, well, this was the party's one chance to make a big splash. If we could take advantage of this now.
That's the big city they're close to?
They're just north of Tampa.
Oh, okay. So a suburb of Tampa?
Yes, the northern suburbs of Tampa, the most important part of Florida.
You thought the Populist People's Party was gonna... All right.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's where Donald Duck vacations. I don't know what you want.
Nick said, Nick said.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I was having a lot of fun going through the cases that Kruger was referencing, just because, I mean, some of them made sense. He's bringing them up, like Anderson v. Calabrese, which was knocked down a number of Ohio's early filing deadline practices that were unconstitutional, various things that were very difficult for third parties to run. There's one I'm currently missing where I think it was in Michigan, where there was no way for an independent candidate to run for office, where it's like you had to have party support, a state party, to back you up, and there was just nothing there for an independent candidate. So that clearly won.
Yeah.
But then he's listing shit like, let's see here, Timmins v. Twin Cities Area New Party, where the New Party, which was around in the 70s, if I remember right, they endorsed Dr. Spock to be a presidential nominee. Yeah, Dr. Benjamin Spock, real presidential material.
Spock.
Yeah. No, the real Spock, not TV Spock.
Yeah.
But they were essentially just like, oh, we want to run a fusion candidate, and we're just trying to get around it so that their party could be on the ballot next to a Democrat candidate to make it look like they were also supported. And yeah, William Rehnquist and 6 other justices were like, no, you can't do that. That's dumb.
Yeah. And yet all of them are distinguishable from this case.
100%. Yeah.
Because this case, there were pre-established rules that were non-discriminatory, and you just didn't meet them. You just didn't follow the rules.
It's truly wild looking through all of it. Oh my God. And then he just starts listing out cases that have nothing to do with anything. There's Swain v. Jr. 2020, which was a case about whether or not a jail was indifferent to the spread of COVID amongst its inmates. Always good to throw in for elections.
Sure.
There's Inkin v. Holder 2009, which is a Board of Immigration Appeals denied Jean-Martin Ken's petition to reopen his case regarding deportation. I'm sure that fit. That was great. But then my personal favorite, Opulent Life Church v. City of Holly Springs, Mississippi, which was a religious zoning case as to whether or not a church could open up a church in downtown Holly Springs, Mississippi.
In the law, we have a really specific term for this.
Yeah.
And it's, let me see if I remember. It's called throwing spaghetti at a wall.
Is that the Latin?
Yeah.
I also feel like there's part of me that wonders if some people really do believe Latin is this magical language.
Oh.
And like with the law, that is the closest most normal people get to the language of Latin itself. And it's like, I'm just going to say a lot of case names.
Yeah.
And it's going to unlock like it did in Harry Potter in that one scene.
Hello, Laura. In my practice, I go up against a lot of pro se complainants, appellants, plaintiffs, whatever. And yeah, it's you read their submissions and it's like, it's unhinged because they're trying so hard to be lawyerly. Meanwhile, I write a brief and I say something like, clearly Joe Schmo can go jump off a bridge because he didn't do, like, my briefs, first of all, maybe a little too sassy, but secondly, use normal language because who wants to read legalese? No one wants. No one.
It's in the name, brief. Wrap it up.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it speaks very highly of the sovereign citizen law and admiralty courts and
right, obviously.
Maritime law.
Look, you just gotta buy new flags. I don't know what to tell you guys. It'll cut off a whole leg of sovereign citizenship law.
We had like a maritime law course or like series of courses. I went to law school in Missouri. Tell me where you're gonna find the ocean.
It's all steamboat law.
Lake law.
Stern wheelers.
So what boats in the Mississippi am I allowed to just claim as public access? Like, how deep do they have to be in the mud?
Okay, yeah, because some of those rowboats you are allowed gambling on them.
That's true.
Fact, in Illinois, what is it? It used to be in Illinois, you could only have a casino on water. So there's
not anymore. We got that downtown Chicago casino. It's going to be the worst.
It's really going to be a drain.
We're going to put it right next to our NASCAR race that's apparently going to happen.
There were several casinos in Southern Illinois that were built on lakes, like built on little buildings.
Love it. Yeah, that was my one favorite thing about being in the Quad Cities. Just go to the saddest casino you've ever seen.
I love the Quad Cities. But
dude, the Quad Cities have so much to offer. Like one good restaurant that you could like go to that casino and get 3 free drinks while you watch 8 people lose their entire paycheck in an hour.
And you leave just reeking of cigarette smoke.
Yeah,
so
it's the best. I literally saw a dude hand the guy running the roulette table his paycheck and then gave that guy chips.
No.
And in 8 minutes, he was gone. He got a pineapple vodka and was gone.
My gosh. Oh, my heart.
Yeah, so I'm glad we're getting that in Chicago. Could have been great. Yeah, it's the tough thing with this case is there's not exactly no one's called to testify. There's nothing really much going on. One of my personal favorite things though is that the court does have to admonish. I don't know what's a step below admonish. Just like tut a little bit at Kruger, because he clearly doesn't understand local court law and is filing things wrong.
Oh yeah, I mean, I find it so. In the actual decision, the court breaks down each of those tests, right? And, says there's no substantial likelihood that this party is going to win on the merits of this case. They don't have votes. There's literally no reason to believe that they can prove that they would have been harmed by the fact that they couldn't run this year. They don't have any injury because what's the harm? They just go about their life. Like, you're not entitled to run for an elected position in the United States. There's no detriment that you suffer by the fact that you don't run. There's clearly their plaintiff interest does not outweigh public interest as far as removing this oath that she needed to take to say that she had been a member of the party for 365 days. But yeah, I did find it funny that like the court took a bit of time to talk about the fact that Kruger could have filed this months and months and months before it, like 6 different times could have triggered them to file it. And then they would have had enough time to have a hearing on the merits and make an actual decision.
Correct. I love that, where they're like, why did you wait till June? You could have done this in September. You could have done this after Elise contacted them in May.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's honestly Kruger's fault that they got such a bad decision.
Yeah.
Should have earlier. Especially when, and I feel like, Oona, you might know this, having served as a paralegal for a minute, the entire practice of law is just deadlines. All it is deadlines.
Yes.
All it is. All it is. You got to know every deadline. Do you know the deadline? Does your paralegal know the deadline? Hopefully somebody in your office knows the deadline. And the number of nights I've been kept away thinking, have I missed a deadline? Is it's too many.
And if we're picking final things to love in that 4-page get the fuck out of my courtroom finding, the court did decide to go through all the other qualifications that Elise had to hit to be able to run for office. She had to file a campaign treasurer form. She had to announce that she was running. She had to either pay a fee or get petitions. And the court was very quick to recognize you didn't even do these other things. So since you did none of the steps, even if we got rid of the 365, you still couldn't run.
Right. You were not a candidate. As far as the state of Florida is concerned, you were not a candidate for office.
So much, you know what? I'm getting uncomfortable here because so much of the decision just sounds like my mother asking me about why I dropped a hobby. It's like, if you had just been practicing, do you even want to do this? Do you even want to go to this concert? I put a lot of money in.
So I think it's in the timeline. Around the time that the primary happened, the state of Florida files a motion to dismiss the case on August 2nd. A little bit before this, Kruger filed something called a notice of interlocutory appeal. I think I said that right.
Oh, yeah, it's interlocutory.
There we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which at least according to Wikipedia, is an application to the appellate court challenging a non-final trial court order that decides an issue but does not result in a final judgment. So I guess, am I interpreting this right, that they're just like, give us the answer we want and then you can take it away later?
No, it's more that within the decision, clearly there was some issue that the court decided before it decided the total issue that would be determinative at the end. So before the final decision was filed, they appealed this mini internal decision so they could get a decision from a higher court to force the lower court to do what they wanted.
So what I'm hearing is they are able to hand things in on time.
Yeah. I was going to say my favorite part is that they appealed it after the qualification deadline.
Yeah.
Where it was like, okay, what do you want us to do about it now?
Yeah, it's
over.
Just
Oh,
wild. Like,
no.
I don't know if Chris Krueger had a rent payment coming up where he's just like, I guess I'll keep this going, man. I mean,
I find I have like a very specific breed of hatred for attorneys who take any case given to them because I feel like I don't want to get too much into my soapbox, but I work for the government, so I have the luxury of not having my salary determined by the clients that I bring in, which I'm grateful for. But I feel like there's a difference between zealous advocacy and taking advantage of individuals.
Mm.
And if you are truly a zealous advocate for your clients, that would include also telling them not to file lawsuits at some point in time. Say no.
Yeah.
So there
No one
was a
default.
little interesting detail. I was on Pacer for a little. I actually got a Pacer account just for this. I don't know if I'll ever use it again, but we'll see.
Hilarious.
It's kind of fun, but I don't like how much they charge. It is weird to be charged for downloading shit, but say la vie. So the state of Florida ends up dismissing the entire case on August 29th, 2022. What isn't mentioned on Pacer is that on September 14th, 2022, Krueger filed a petition for rehearing, according to Victor Nieto of the Florida People's Party, which I didn't entirely understand. But to my best guess, a petition of rehearing is please do the case again.
That's my guess too. It might be a phrase that's specific to Florida, but I would imagine that if there wasn't testimony or it seemed like this case was decided essentially on the record, meaning there wasn't an actual hearing. They just sort of took everybody's briefs and made a decision, which isn't uncommon, especially for federal courts because they have so many cases. So it could just be that he was asking for an actual hearing to rehear the issues with more information. But again, why? What new information could there possibly be? Did she time travel?
Oh my God. I mean, she did make a campaign website, so that was, progress. It had no details and asked people to register to vote. So the state responded to this on October 31st and just dismissed the case entirely and ended any future chance of rehearing and just shut it down. Which meant the Florida People's Party officially lost their attempt to get Elise on the ballot for the general election.
Oh, big sad.
There is a little bit of small drama, though, I did want to bring up. The county commissioner race for District 4 was initially just a Republican primary between incumbent Fitzy Fitzpatrick, her first name Christina, who was the incumbent, running against a former cop named Gary Bradford. Gary did some weird shit to win it this time around. Fitzy had beat him the first time around in 2020, and Gary figured out that if someone was running as a write-in candidate for the general election, then the Republicans could no longer have an open primary, which meant that anyone could vote. And since a write-in was running in the general, it had to be a closed primary. So he ended up limiting the number of people who could run against Fitzy and beat her in the primary.
Whoa.
The write-in candidate had donated money to Gary's campaign and dropped out after the primary.
Whoa.
Yeah. You don't fuck around in Pasco County, apparently.
Oh, no.
It's fucked. It's really fucked. I mean, look, let them fight.gif, but it's still fucking weird.
That's where all the action is.
I know, right? Elise, did you really want to be a part of that? Like, getting the crosshairs of cutthroat Gary.
Oh man.
So we do have a bit of an epilogue to all of this. So like I said, Gary ended up winning. He's now a county commissioner in Pasco County. But as for the People's Party in Florida, things ended up being revealed they weren't so great. So I found some recent meeting notes from October 5th, where it was kind of revealed that all these meetings that had been planned for, new members to come in and learn about the party had to be canceled for the entire last quarter because no one RSVP'd. Just lending that credit that the only members of the party were Victor, Carolyn, and Elise.
Oh.
They did note that 27 people had shown interest in volunteering, but no one wanted a leadership role, and most hadn't attended sequential meetings to end up in minor roles or groups, and some had not changed their party affiliation at all. Victor Nieto also noted that, quote, the National People's Party had been instrumental in carrying out the case forward and noted that they had paid entirely for this case. And looking at the financials for the Florida People's Party, that was the only money that the National Party ever sent to them for the entire year.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, the National People's Party is very good at just not sending money to any of their state affiliates. It's very much a sink or swim sort of thing.
You know what I think is so interesting? You were talking earlier about how Nick's MO is just essentially to breed anger. And what a perfect way to incite anger than a national case where the state of Florida refused to let poor, downtrodden, independent party run for elected office.
I mean, it is the last bit of news on the national website saying that they're suing Florida.
Something's got to change, man. We got to join this People's Party.
And it's like, look, I'm not going to say it's easy to run as a third party in Florida. Like, the Libertarians are the only people who've been able to figure that out, and they still have to fight tooth and nail to get on the ballot. But come on, guys, just read a law. Try again in 2024.
Or, I don't know what Bernie does and run as a Democrat and put your ideals in anyway.
Right. Run as a fucking independent. How goddamn hard is it?
Do you think Bernie would say he wasn't a Democrat if he finally got the nomination for president? Are you kidding me? Okay.
So I think another bit of pettiness is looking at the Florida People's Party budgetary numbers. Without going over, what is their yearly budget?
Oh, 30,000.
I was going to say 65,000.
You're both over.
No.
$800.
What?
$800.
Okay.
That's actually even a little high because their quarterly budget is $199. So
well,
technically $300 or $796.
Okay, but according to Nick's dad.
Yeah. But I mean, this is based off, Elise's own numbers since she's treasurer of just like, this is the most we can expect to come in. And
so
even in this last quarter, they were over budget by $400.
Oh, no.
They were, in fact, over budget so much that they had to vote to get rid of their P.O. box. And where is their P.O. box held? At the UPS store in Lutz, Florida, that is owned by Elise.
Stop it.
Oh, sometimes, I mean, I honestly just want to go hug Elise, who I imagine is just like a little grandmother.
Oh, yeah.
And say like, babe, we can do something else.
Yeah.
We don't have to do this. Do you want to go get some coffee? Do you want to, we can just walk away from this.
Right. Well,
Because-
and this is where the story went a little further. I reached out to a former member of the Florida People's Party, who was also asked too many questions and got kicked out pretty early on. And through her, I found out that Victor, Carolyn, and Elise all resigned from the party in October and November.
That's
right now, the party is being run by a pair of dudes, Richard Coleman and Francis Zott. And they received the chairman and treasurer positions because they were the only people who showed up to a meeting.
Gonna look great on the resume.
It's it's gonna be fantastic. So I can at least take some solace that Elise, Carolyn, and Nieto are out. I don't know if it was on their own free will. I mean, Carolyn Wolf's was. She did submit a letter of resignation pretty quickly.
Yeah, when she realized there was absolutely no support for this thing she had been dedicating her time to.
I mean, to be fair, Nick and Rodrigo did go down to Florida during the court case. They appear to, at least according to Facebook, they either bought or rented a Batmobile, like one of the newer versions of the Batmobile, or like given fun joyrides to the Florida People's Party members.
Oh, all 7 of them.
Yeah.
That's that long.
It saves on gas, so.
Yeah, they have a carpool.
Yeah, so
I think there's like 2 seats in those cars. They're going and then returning and then coming
very
back
close
with other
to Nick.
people.
You know he's not going to let people drive it.
He just wears Axe body spray, and you're just sitting there in the Batmobile with, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like he's the kind of guy who bought a copy of The Game or that Neil Strauss book. He has like a warehouse full of one flavor of Axe body spray that they discontinued, but for him worked really good one night, so he wants to always have it.
Yeah, he reminds me of like when you're at a party and there's a guy and initially you think like, oh, it's like, good conversation. This is great. And then he keeps talking and you're like, oh, I think you're my friend. And then he's like, no, just let me tell you about this other thing. And then you're stuck in that corner all night, just praying that like the girl that you came with will like happen to walk by so you can physically grab her and leave the building. And instead she doesn't. So you have to drive home with him because for some reason she drove you. And so now you're just stranded here and he thinks he's doing you this big favor and he never lets you forget about it. And he texts you every day for 6 months. And I'm not saying this happened to me before, but That's what it reminds.
Look, it was the Batmobile. You had to. It was supposed to be a quick ride home.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, that's that case. I was really, when I went into Pacer, I was expecting like some really juicy shit, and it did provide me my favorite thing in the world, judicial shade. I just love a judge that knows they can get away with shit.
Yeah, legal dunking. We're big into it.
Right, yeah. It's just like,
Sure.
I'm pretty sure the dude is either like a Trump or a Bush appointee, but he earned some points. I had some fun.
I feel like this case is just a shining example of the party in general.
Mhm.
Like ideas, very little way to effectuate it, and then a really poorly drawn out escape.
Yeah. And it's, they're still technically around. Supposedly they're going to try to run Jimmy Dore for president in 2024. Which,
It'll be like what's that movie where Robin Williams becomes the president?
yeah, only worse. I mean, I don't know if we went to college amongst comedy circles and things like that. Like, Jimmy Dore is like that guy at the party that you were talking about who knows all of Bill Hicks's material but learned nothing from it.
Yeah, but somehow he got a job on the on-campus radio station as a
Yes.
Ah,
Yeah, his material is very much answers the question, what if George Carlin was a dick?
Yeah.
So looking forward to that. 2024, the year of podcasters running for president. It's gonna be great. Between that and the Libertarian Party running their own Rogan-esque dude.
just when you thought you've heard everything about crypto.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah. I'm very excited to buy a cabin in the middle of goddamn nowhere and just let the world slide off.
So just think about how much content y'all have.
The war is gonna be really good for music. Well, on that note, Christine, thank you so much for joining us. It's nice, I would have made so many legal dumbass statements, so it's very nice that you joined us for this bit of nonsense.
No, I feel like with your research skills, you would have done at least as well as Kruger, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I'd love to have you back on a future episode, whether or not it's a Gadfly movie night where we watch terrible movies starring politicians, or who knows, I might find another court case to look at if,
Yeah, more legal eagle.
Oh my
As
God, yes.
As long as you promise to never make me watch anything with Ronald Reagan in it.
Oh, that's easily. Yeah, I don't want to watch anything with Ronald Reagan in it.
Well, thank you for having me. It was so nice to see you again, Desi, and me, Oona.
Me too.
And Christine, do you have anything to promote? Any Twitter thing? You don't have to. But
Mastodon.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I have to write a brief that's due this Friday. So if anybody wants to just send me good vibes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Thanks.
Sounds great. Well, and before we go, I mean, you brought up Mastodon, so we're in the post-Twitter world of trying to figure out where to go next whenever that shit falls apart. So as of right now, we are on Mastodon. Probably not for long. It's not great. It's like if someone really wanted to combine Twitter and LiveJournal, but still make it really hard to use. So I think what we're going to be going with is Post. Post has been very easy to use. So if you want to follow us on Post, go to post.news/gadflypod, and you could follow us right there. It's been kind of great. They do have a crypto element, so I don't know how long that's going to last, but
God damn it.
I mean, we do have 50 points. I don't know what that means or where that's going to go, but apparently you can tip people based on their posts.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll see how this. I don't know where anything. We're just going to go back to LiveJournal. It's going to be fine.
Finally.
Look, I've kept mine alive for far too goddamn long.
Just find a Zanga. Find somebody's Zanga and do that.
Yes.
Oh man, we just need to buy Friendster.
Post about some politician and hope that they see it.
All right, well, everyone, thank you for joining us this week, and we'll see you next time on Gadfly. Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?